That would mean that Walter Weeks would need to be in the 0.03 percentile of all men walking the earth. Mm-hmm. I doubt that's the case.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again here on the YouTube channel, man. I'm so glad that you brothers was able to come through today and give yourselves a round of applause for being here. And as you guys know, man, my brother, he's always swung the bat, since we first collaborated with him. He's always giving us a hit. And that's my brother, Pocket Watching with JT. I'll let him explain what his channel is and what it is he does over on that YouTube channel. Go ahead, brother.
Well, first and foremost, I gotta thank you, O'Shea, for even having me on your platform. When you first interviewed me a few months ago, I had a little over 1,000 subs. Now, today, before you, I am proud to say that I have over 30,000 subs, and I appreciate that. So, at my channel, Pocket Watching with JT, Real Accountant Reacts, I react to different finance and business related issues that help my audience think like an accountant. And what we do, we take a look at the fake gurus. We take a look at pyramid schemes. We take a look at all of the financial stuff that affects our community. And I try to help people understand how to really look at it with a critical eye so that they don't fall for those type of scams.
All right. And brother, I'm definitely glad you're here because today's topic, I have been telling you that I wanted you to come back, and like the lead attorney, you guys have unique professional skills that typically were not in our space, but because of that education, that insight, it's allowed us to bring the content out that we couldn't do before. And the last time that me and you met, we talked about some of these pro-black scams happening in the black community, right? And that got a lot. I'll put Dr. Umar, on the video there,
right?
And people was mad at me for putting that, but I didn't care. So we did that. We talked about the black community, right? Here are the 4 top scams in the black community, right? But now we want to talk about something that's happening in the red pill communities, both white and black Manosphere communities.
Yes,
and that is these dating coach scammers.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Now, what do you know about so you've been in the sphere now for about a year now, you've been watching my content. What do you know? What's your interpretation of a dating coach scammer? What you've seen from that? What would you qualify that as?
Matt, just to start out, when it comes to scams, just scams in general, it doesn't really matter the product that they're selling. There's something that I refer to as the holy trinity of scams. And what this is, there's 3 products, okay? 3 products that con men and scammers have been selling to people since the beginning of time. And those 3 products is number 1, wealth, number 2, love, and number 3, health. These are 3 products that a con man, con woman, scammer, whatever. These are 3 things that they will always be able to sell to people, because when it comes to wealth, love, and health, people will pay any price. Just think about it for a second. If you have someone that will present themselves as a financial guru and they can coach you to become a multimillionaire, they can name their price. Because what's $50,000 on a bunch of credit cards, or what's taking a life insurance policy that your mother or your father left you, which is maybe $100,000, $200,000, that's a small price to become a multi-millionaire. We're used to that type of financial scams. But in the area of love, and I take and put these relationship coaches, I put them under the umbrella of selling the product of love. Now, religion is also in that umbrella, but we're probably not going to touch on that one today. But these relationship coaches, they also fall under the umbrella of love, because if you have someone who needs and wants love in their life, then once again, what price would they be willing to pay? And based on what I've been researching lately over the past couple of weeks, people are willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to get the product of love. And lastly, there's health. When it comes to health, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen and women who are online that will sell you the product of perfect health. And once again, if you have someone that has a terminal illness and modern medical science has pretty much told them that there's not much they can do for them, you got some snake oil salesman online that says, I can cure your cancer for the low price of, $20,000-$30,000 if you come down to Mexico and blah, 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 blah. That's another product that you can always sell. So bringing it back to the main point of today, yes, when it comes to these dating coach scams, there's not much difference with financial scams. Why? Because they use the exact same tactics. They use the same methods of selling the scam. The product is just different. They swapped out the opportunity to be wealthy with the opportunity to be able to find love.
That's a very great breakdown. Now in the Manosphere, and I know you've been following it, and since you've been more involved on the financial aspect of the Black community and with for Black men and things like that,
right?
There are a few guys. We'll not call their names. They should be on the thumbnail. But what you're seeing now is guys that are selling these packages, or consultation services,
yes,
or Instagram DM packages, courses,
yes,
like $700, $800.
Yes.
And then you find out that these guys position themselves because, to be experts, and because they have a big YouTube following, or because they get a lot of views. Now that's what's so different about social media, because you can become an influencer because of the views you get and things like that. How has that impacted? Because the scammers, because now they have they're getting a lot of views. They're getting
absolutely
numbers, right?
Yeah.
So how do you separate that from okay, well, he has a lot of followers, he has a lot of subscribers, so there must be some things. And he's up there with girls. There's girls in the room and stuff. How do you quantify? I mean, how do you separate from what's a scam or not? Because it looks the truth.
Right. So when I was in school and I was learning about financial planning and different ways that you're supposed to vet any type of potential investment fund, a money manager, we're never really taught that their social media following is a measurement of their actual expertise. Because we know that social media is a phenomenon where you can gain a certain level of popularity, but it's not going to be grounded in any real verifiable expertise in the field. So I see the same exact things in the world of financial scams. There are guys and girls who have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of followers on various social media platforms. But yet that doesn't actually make them the expert in the finance world to be able to give people proper financial advice. And I'm seeing the exact same thing in this world of the dating coach type of thing. Just because they have a lot of followers doesn't quite mean that they can meet the claims that they set forth for themselves. So it doesn't really matter how many followers someone has. Followers are going to be based on the fact that you produce content that's interesting, right? Interesting content is what produces a high level or a high number of eyeballs, followers, subscribers. But interesting content does not automatically equate to actual expertise and verifiable proof of the things that you're saying. So in my world, it means absolutely nothing. I mean, I can't tell you right now how many followers Warren Buffett has on the various social media platforms, but I'm pretty sure he's still one of the top money managers in the history of the world.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So let me talk about this, because you're talking to me about because I took statistics the intro to statistics a long time ago, and I can just remember the standard deviation curve, and I remember like 68%. I remember 0%. I remember 68% and 95%, and then something else, right?
You're brother. You own it. You own it, right? Exactly.
I remember that. And then you were telling me that we're gonna fuck it. I'm just call his name, Fresh.
Yes.
Fresh said that he had slept with how many women?
There are claims out there between 1,000. 1,500. Basically what he said, and he stated, I mean, they mentioned it a lot at different times on their show. Okay. But they said in the quadruple digits. So that means there's 4 numbers in his lay count that he promotes. So that can be anywhere from 1,000 all the way up to 9,999. He falls somewhere in the spectrum of 9,999, somewhere in there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
A lot.
Okay. And to get to that point, because we had a prior conversation, as a financial advisor, we're taught certain calculations to use to be able to vet the supposed investment return that someone is claiming, right? So not to get too bogged down in the math, because I know, brothers, math to a lot of y'all is boring and you don't care. But just to make it as simple as possible, when it comes to doing a standard deviation calculation, we can figure out, based on a certain set of data, numbers that we're easily able to find, we can pretty much predict the probability of being able to actually get a investment return that the person is claiming you can get based on all the relevant information. So for an example, if someone was to come to me and say, hey, I believe that I can get you a investment return of around 12%, right? With a standard deviation of around 4%. Well, based on that information, I can figure out, well, what's the probability of me actually getting the investment return that this person is claiming? I can figure that out with the standard deviation calculation. Like O'Shea said, it's a bell curve. We can pretty much quantify that down between 68% spread, a 95% spread, all the way to a 99.7% spread. We can figure out what's the probability of us actually achieving what they say, or it's going to be off. So just to make it simple, we can use a calculation to figure out if someone is giving us information that is actually predictable, something that we can actually meet. Can we actually pinpoint it? So that's basically how it works, right? It's a verified system, something that we've been using in mathematics for a very long time when it comes to predicting something. Just think about this, guys. When you were in school and you got grades, sometimes you were graded on a bell curve, and you can pretty much figure out how many people in the class were going to get an A, how many people in the class were going to get a B, C, D, and F. No matter what happened, you can pretty much figure out the probability of A's and the probabilities of F's and all in between. So to make it simple, that's how it works. So when I took a look at the claim that Fresh from Fresh and Fit has a lay count of anywhere between 1,000 and 9,999. So just to be safe, I'm going to say, let's say just 1,500, because that's a number that's been thrown out. He has a lay count of 1,500 people. Now, the question is, why would someone make such a claim? If it's not true, what's the advantage of making such a weird claim? Going back to O'Shea's point is, that claim is used as some sort of social proof that the course that they sell, and this is a dating coach course that they sell, is right around $1,000, about $700.
Right.
You use that claim in the dating world the same way that a financial scammer uses the claim that I can double your money in 2 months. Right? So the same way that a financial scammer is going to reel in their victim by saying, I can flip your money in 2 or 3 months. That's what a dating coach scammer is going to sell you hype by saying, well, I've got a lay count of 1,500, so surely I can help you, get more girls than you're used to getting. Because if you just do the simple math, Fresh and Fit at their height had around 400,000 subscribers. If we take a click-through rate at a conservative 1%, that means there's going to be about 4,000 people who you can probably safely say is going to buy this course. If we average this course at around $1,000, that is $1 million. So you have a $1 million incentive to make such a ridiculous claim. And in my world, we're always taught an extraordinary claim requires an extraordinary evidence to prove it. And just let me know when you're ready. I'll break down the numbers that I found when you actually take a look at it. Okay,
break down the numbers.
All right, so listen here, people. I took someone who is in popular culture or is really a monument in the dating world and sector. I took Hugh Hefner. And if you don't know who Hugh Hefner is, you're a little too young, but I'm going to give you a preview. Hugh Hefner is the man behind Playboy. Playboy is the entertainment capital of porn within society. Every guy who thinks he's a ladies' guy and he wants to walk around with a bunch of girls around his arms, they're basically taking on the example of Hugh Hefner and Playboy. So he's got to be pretty up there when it comes to his relationship with women, his ability to get women, his ability, most importantly, to get new women. Because you got Playboy magazine, Playboy movies, Playboy TV, all these things. So here we go. Hugh Hefner has been on record, he passed in 2017, but he's been on record stating that he has a lay count of anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000. Okay, so his lay count is around, if you average it, 1,500. About the same, or just about the same that Fresh Prince CEO's claim is, right? You got Hugh Hefner,
right?
Playboy multi-millionaire, Playboy mansion party. And just think about this. The whole culture of being a player, being a Playboy, mansion parties, all that stuff comes from Hugh Hefner. He's the one who started the whole culture of Playboy, okay? His lay count is 1,500. Fresh Prince CEO Walter Weeks, he claims his lay count is around 1,500. So what are the odds? You have to ask yourself the question, what are the odds that Hugh Hefner and Fresh has about the same lay count? Let's just look at this.
Much younger too.
Yeah, much younger. And I compensated for all these things. So let's just look at this.
Okay.
Hugh Hefner started the Playboy empire back in 1953. He died in 2017. That means he had a professional Playboy run of 64 years. Okay? 64 years. So in 64 years, he's claiming a lay count, I'm going to say 2,000, right? We're going to use that as his base. Hugh Hefner had a lay count of 2,000 for a 64-year run of being a extremely popular icon in popular culture. So that would mean, for that to make sense, if we do the math, he would have to have a brand new sexual partner of around 31 per year, okay? Hugh Hefner would need 31 new. I'm not talking about, having a relationship with the same woman over and over. We're talking about lay count, new sexual partners. So Hugh Hefner would have to have one about 31 per year. That comes down to about 2.5 per month, meaning every other week he would be able to find and have a new sexual relationship with a woman. Every other week. That's for a 64-year run. Let's take a look at Mr. Walter Weeks. Walter Weeks was born around 1992. So that means he's 29 years old now. Okay. He was born in Barbados And he said that he came to America around 2015. All right.
Okay.
So if we do that, he's got about a 6-year run there. Okay. Now, I'm going to be generous, and I mean extremely generous, by saying that he had 10 sexual partners before he came to America, which is still high on the scale for the average person.
Oh, yeah.
And he will admit that for most of his life, he was a extremely average person when it came to being a ladies' man. Okay? But I'm going to give him 10, even though that's an extremely high number. I believe the national average is around 6 or 7 different sexual partners for the average person in America. I'm going to give him 10 before he got to the U.S. Okay? Okay. Then you have to account for the fact that he was married for 1 year. Okay? So he was married for 1 year. So we have to take 1 year off the table. So it goes from 6 to 5. So now he's got a 5-year run. In that 5 years, to be able to compensate, and I'm not even giving him 1,500 lay count. I'm just going to give him 1,000 lay count. If he already had 10, that means he's got 990 new sexual partners that he has to account for in a 5-year run. What that comes down to, he has to have just under 200 per year. We're looking at 100. We're looking at 198 per year.
Wow.
That comes down to 16 new sexual partners per month. Right? That comes to 4. He's got to have 4 new sexual partners per week, every week, for a straight 5-year run. That is so beyond the scope of being possible that is absolutely laughable. When I plotted all this information onto a bell curve, that would mean that Walter Weeks would need to be in the 0.03 percentile of all men walking the earth. I doubt that's the case. I give him all respect for building a platform, building a successful podcast. But for Walter Weeks to claim that he is in the top 0.03% of all men who are walking the earth today, that is absolutely insane. I put his numbers up against Hugh Hefner, and he would be like 10 or 20 times the ladies' man that Mr. Playboy himself is.
Right.
And that's just how math works out, people. This ain't hating. This is simply me putting the numbers into a calculator to verify the claims that anyone, be it finance, be it relationship, whatever it is, a scam is a scam is a scam. When you put the numbers in, they just don't work out. And that's where we're at.
Let me talk about this. And I mean, I know that you deal with numbers and stuff, but you've seen, I believe you have done a reaction video to Fresh and Fit during this whole little, our boy, the lead attorney, he been firing it up. Right. He been getting it. Yeah. Listen, he didn't retire last week. All the money he didn't make off of it. But just now, let's talk about this, because credibility is such an important thing, which is why I don't really have any online courses, or I can consult on YouTube if people really ask me, but I have the numbers to show,
Right, absolutely. You have the actual proof that you know how to build a platform, sustain an audience, and have quality content on this platform. That makes sense. Yes. Right.
So, but for what we've heard about these guys and the information that has unfolded, from the women themselves, there's Anna Quinn and those text messages, right?
Yes.
And then there's the OnlyFans model, and then there's a new white girl, and then it's so all these claims that are coming out, ex-employees coming out saying that they don't bring the girls up. So what does that do? I mean, because with these information that you're hearing, do you believe from the information that you're hearing, what is your perception of that? as it relates to your numbers that you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Based on what I see, when you take a look at the history of the people, and sometimes I get some complaints from it. Honestly, normally they're fanboys. And I understand, right? That I take on that responsibility knowing that I have a reaction channel. I'm reacting to public figures. These public figures are going to have fans, and those fans are naturally going to be upset with me critiquing someone that they see as a hero in their lives. I understand that. There's no big issue with me. But you got to understand that it's not personal. We're looking at the numbers, and there is always a pattern of history when it comes to people that would be classified con men or scammers. And when I take a look at the body of work that is coming out based on different allegations and different things that are supported by proof, you can see that they, both fresh and fit, they fall in line with being what I would say fake gurus. Just take a moment to think about this. You have, Fresh Prince CEO Walter Weeks. Just a couple of months ago, I believe it was in either late June or early July, somewhere in there, he paid for a press release that basically stated that he is a rising star in the music industry. That not only is he an extremely talented singer, he's also an extremely talented songwriter, and he's also an extremely talented producer. So much so that he is the #1 requested producer of his age range. But no one is aware of this. I can't find a song online. Okay. I can't find one Fresh and Fit fanboy or subscriber that has ever heard him sing, ever known of him being a songwriter, ever known of him having a popular hit song. I believe the press release said that he has a hit new song out called Passions or something like that. I can't find the song. So it just goes to show you that is all fake it till you make it. Right? It's just fake it till you make it. Now, these two guys have been blessed to find an opportunity to build a huge platform. But this is why integrity is very important, brothers. Listen, if you're under the sound of my voice, integrity in the beginning of you building whatever brand, company, whatever, integrity in the beginning is important, because even if you do find a way to be successful, like Fresh and Fit has, they found a way to be successful despite all the other stuff in their past, they are still falling victim of their inability to have integrity in the beginning. That is what's going to crumble what they have been successfully building over the past 4 or 5 months. I mean, honestly, until I saw that video clip of Kevin Samuels, coming into their podcast, these guys were not on my radar. But this is a classic case of not being properly prepared when opportunity came, right? Opportunity came. Kevin Samuels blessed these two content creators by joining into their platform, providing the content that he normally brings with his brand, and they got a huge boost. I mean, a crazy boost to their platform by Kevin Samuels being able to come in. The issue was they were not properly prepared, integrity based, nor were they properly prepared to actually bring in and have the expertise to sustain what was going on. That's why you can find yourself a victim of jumping in DMs of different content creators, basically offering them a pay for play, not in the form of cash, because apparently paying people for sex is beyond the pale for these upstanding gentlemen, but exchanging sex for promos on your show, that's perfectly fine. That speaks to integrity. It also speaks to the lack of having the proper preparation for the shine, the clout, the fame that comes when you're not prepared, and you end up getting what you got.
Let me ask you this, because some of the black community scams are kind of positioned to the guys who are charismatic, guys who've had some experience in going to
Yeah.
church. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
the Dr. Umar guy, he kind of can relate to some of the guys who come from the Baptist church or
Yes.
Nation of Islam or the Hotep,
Yes.
stuff like that. But with the dating coach guys, it's a little different because their charisma is it seems that it's related more or less to a certain age group. Like when I look at Fresh and Fit, it doesn't appear that those guys are the same age group that watch me. So in your honest opinion, who do you think are their target that they're trying to reach to monetize and buy these courses and to fund their enterprise?
I think the answer to that question really speaks to why they are successful. Their target audience is who they were just a few years ago. Their target audience is going to be that person who's between the ages, probably somewhere between 16, 17, all the way up to around maybe 25, 29. And these are going to be the average awkward male who has an issue with women. They weren't the ladies' man. And understand, same thing with this bell curve. Every guy is not a ladies' man. Right? It just doesn't work like that. There's a smaller percentage of men who are naturally charismatic or who have trained themselves to be charismatic in a way where they attract a lot of attention from women. Guys, you just got to understand that. That's just how it is. There is the same way that there is no lesson that LeBron James can teach all of his followers of how to be a great basketball player. It's the same concept that the greatest ladies' man in the world cannot teach all their followers how to get a lot of girls. Because it's a certain set of skill, ability, appearance. They can't give you those things. They can help you kind of get out of your shell and be a more outward person, but the claims that they're trying to provide is ridiculous. But to speak more to your point, yes, I believe that their target audience is exactly who these guys were. You're talking about guys who were not very attractive, objectively speaking. These are guys that aren't, just the girls were always around them since they first got into elementary school. And we know those type of guys. At least I know. I know guys that girls just naturally flocked to them ever since we were in elementary school. Most guys aren't like that. Guys that maybe never really had a prom date. They didn't go to the prom. They didn't date the cheerleader in high school. There weren't the captain of the football team. Why? Because most people aren't the captain of the football team, the prom king or queen, the guy that got the pretty cheerleader in high school. They're speaking to exactly who they were just a few years ago, honestly. I mean, when I say few, I'm talking about 2 or 3 years ago. They are the guys that would have bought the course. Case in point, a dating coach who is on YouTube right now, you can probably find him, who's on YouTube, actually reached out to him back in 2019 to be a student of his, right? So clearly they know exactly who their audience is because they were guys who were buying courses from other online dating coach gurus. So they know who they're looking for. It's the person in the mirror.
Right, man, that's true because I know for a fact that Myron was going to the 21 convention in 2019 and was he was the same exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. He's exact, and now he's charging $900 an hour to talk to him.
Right.
When he obviously has no idea what the he's talking about.
Right. You were just the student and not the stuff. It's like that stuff is mind numbing. We talk about a standard of around 10,000 hours to actually kind of make any type of claim of expertise. Now that number's flexible, right? It's a concept. It's an idea. But, if you are working within a related field, within study and practice, right? It can't just be studying. It has to be study and practice. Working out around 10,000 hours should give you not only the confidence, but the education base and the practical base to be considered an expert. But if you were a fanboy of the dating guru world just a couple of years ago, talking about 2019, you should not now be claiming an expertise to the level of I can teach people how to do this now. It's absolutely ridiculous. ridiculous. That is why when it comes to the professional fields, be it a doctor, a lawyer, or a accountant, even myself, we had to have a periods of internship. We had to have periods of actual practice within our fields before we can take on certain titles and certain authorities within our practice, because we know, and these industries knows, law, medical, and accounting, you have to actually do this stuff before, or you will be a harm to the public. And that's kind of what I see when I see Fresh and Fit. It's entertaining, right, but I think it can be extremely harmful. And I want to give a shout out to one of my pocket watches. Those are my subscribers. I call my subscribers pocket watches. And when I was on live the other day speaking to this point, they made a great point and a great example. Fresh and Fit present themselves as if they're the UFC, as if they are the real deal, reality fighting real deal. But that's not what you get when you see Fresh and Fit. What you actually get is the WWE. You get sports entertainment, right? Now listen, they're both entertaining. UFC and WWE, they're both entertaining. The people who participate in those events are both athletes. Anyone who claims someone in the WWE is not an athlete, you're absolutely tripping. I actually went to the same college that Bobby Lashley in the WWE went to, and he wrestled at my college. I know for 100% he's a real athlete. The difference is the UFC is actual fighting competition where the outcome is not known. When you get punched in the face, you're really getting punched in the face. When you get choked out, you're really getting choked out. And while the WWE is entertaining, it's scripted. And that's what Fresh and Fit is. It's scripted entertainment. I'm not saying, hey, these guys, blah, 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 blah. It's entertaining. That's why they have the followers that they have. My issue is their followers think they're getting reality-based info and not scripted info. That's my issue.
You could have saved the whole entire city with St. Louis, Missouri. With that one. That was good enough to save the entire city right there. If we didn't say nothing else, that was enough to save the entire city of St. Louis and East St. Louis in Illinois. That was enough to save both of them. But brother, you've always come in, like I said, brother, you are a heavyweight, definitely in the Black YouTube community. Nobody can do what you do. You're an excellent presenter of information. And I mean, the brother went and got the bell curve out, so you know he wasn't bullshit. So when,
it's so funny. I feel like such a nerd. I had to sit down and go through lay count accusations and numbers and actually plot out a bell curve to see the probability. And it's ridiculous. It's mind-numbingly just ridiculous that anyone would believe that a man that is 29, that came to the U.S. 6 years ago and was married one of those 6 years, was able to produce a lay count on par and equal with Hugh Hefner over a 64-year run. That's like saying that a no-name investor has the same returns of a Warren Buffett. You would not believe that, so you should not believe this.
Right. And so when brothers bring out that TI-82 or TI-85 or statistical software, you know, when brothers start doing that and put that coffee and that no-dos up and be up all night, you in some trouble. Okay, you in a lot of trouble. Brother, go ahead on and tell them about your channel and why they subscribe. Well, I know why they subscribe to Pocket Watching, but brother, why should they subscribe to the Pocket Watching YouTube channel, brother?
Man, I appreciate that. I believe you should subscribe to Pocket Watching with JT if you want actual real information. I mean, what I try to do, I try to teach the basics of financial planning, but in a fun and entertaining way. That's the goal, honestly. That is the goal. I try to help all of my pocket watchers, all of my subscribers be able to not only watch my videos, but when they go out into their real life, when they see information online, they're able to use a more critical eye and not fall prey or fall victim to the scams that are out there, by me being able to teach them the basics of financial planning, the basics of being able to really take a look at a potential investment and say, hey, let me pause. Let me not get all emotionally tied up into this thing. Let me think like an accountant. And I think that will help them in their everyday life. And honestly, to me, it's entertaining. I have a lot of fun doing it. Some people complain about how often I laugh in the video, but trust me, if you knew what I know, you would be laughing too.
Right. Because, man, brother, I don't think if the dagger wasn't in them before, it is now. The only person I know that can get her from this is Jesus. And that was on the third day. I don't think they getting off the cross off of this one. I just don't see Mary Magdalene. Anybody gonna remove that stone from that tomb? They're not gonna be able to. I don't. Tough. After this one, I just don't see. I just don't see the resurrection. I just don't see it happening. I can't believe there's a 0.3%.
Right. 0.03. I want to be clear. Yeah. It's a 0.03%.
Yeah. So 0.03. That means a 99.97. Right? That's what that means? Right. Oh, that's bad. That's not that good. That's not.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So this is not 99.7. This is 99.97. Right.
It's because it's so far beyond the pale. When I plotted this bell curve, we're talking about the top of the average bell curve in the beginning of the 0.3 is around 35, 40. You're in the top 0.3 if you have 30 or 40 different sexual partners in your lifetime. When you get to the thousands, you're out there.
That's a lot of ass. That's a lot of ass.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So, but brother, thank you so much. We'll put the first comment in the top. And as you guys know, keep it real. The buffoons are at an all-time high. I'm out.